how can we get more creative
Yeah.
around networking at events where it's slightly orchestrated so people can have organic conversation.
20 rules to win in events today. We're going to do a rapid fire of you reacting to these rules.
Okay, hit me with it. So rapid fire, so you just need my like frontal lobe thought.
Yeah, what comes to mind? Let's just jam. Maybe
Can't wait to just yell bullshit as soon as you get one out.
Cool, sounds good.
Just kidding, good. Fire.
Rule to win an event today, connection over content. What comes to mind for you there?
That's interesting. Connection over content. I would say yes, that definitely matters. I think probably the origin of that is the idea that content is so readily available now via virtual. That's probably where that stems from. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't sleep on content. I think connection and content go together at times at events. I do think that content at events has to be different, not necessarily better. I think back in the day, you go to an event, you have good keynotes and things like that. That was good. But now it's like a little bit different the way you have to shift your content to engage people with that connection. Yes, I think orchestrating what they're talking about with connection is orchestrating more meaningful interaction, engagement. Whether that's networking, whether that's allowing business and prospects to meet, like setting it up so that it organically happens needs to be kind of the driver. Yes.
When I read connections over content, I think of something that I repeat, that I feel like I am just like channeling you all the time. The value prop of events has changed. It used to be having a list and getting people, speakers on stage, brought people to it. And then it was like, bring the water buffalo to get eaten by the crocodiles down by the river. And everything that you have taught me is that the value prop is now
tacit. I have said that before.
100%. And now it's tacit knowledge exchange. That is where the value comes from.
The value prop's different.
So the idea of like everything that we do when we do the Event Marketing Congress is all driven for people to like exchange advice to each other, much less get the idea only from stage.
So interestingly enough, that is for them because that is what they want. It does not mean that's what everybody wants. That's what this audience wants. That's what my customer wants. That doesn't mean that that's what a bunch of program engineers want or a bunch of VP of sales want, right? So yes, but yes, the value prop of an event, to your point, has changed. The value prop used to simply be that you were organizing everybody to get together. That's not the case anymore. So,
Good. Rules to win in events today. Most registrations happen 5 weeks out. Plan for it.
Oh, yeah.
How do you plan for a 5 weeks out registration these days, man?
That is true. 100%. Everything we've seen from even, just attendees, even exhibitors and sponsors and people exhibiting late, like everything's happening later and later and later. My opinion on it is that it is just that we are living in an options world versus like when my grandparents were coming up, like my grandparents met when they were 18 and they were like, you're it. You're decent. Let's do this. Like, let's, and then it's just, no, seriously.
Tired of being a virgin.
And and then now it's like, the amount of options with the technology from dating to business to just, you name it, restaurants, you can find anything. You used to go to the same restaurant because it was down the street and you knew it was good and you didn't want to risk going elsewhere. But now you can like look up a billion and get, So I think that's what it has to do with. People are more picky about their schedules, where they go. People are less committal because of it. So yes, it's happening.
Let's talk about the plan for itself.
How to combat it. I think A is just realizing that like this is happening, like it's happening, like let's just deal with it and making adjustments probably where you can get burned the most. For example, when you're negotiating either contracts or you are having to plan an event that have large costs where you can get burned the most. If you're 200 people to 170 people, whatever it is, you have to cover yourself. You have to hedge. You have to have those discussions up front. You have to create flexibility in what you're doing. I think companies like ourselves need to be ready to help and deploy faster and just know like the times have changed. So you may not want to turn a booth in 20 days, but you're going to have to turn a booth in 20 days. Because the company coming to you is not doing it because they're disorganized assholes. They're doing it because that's just the way of the world. They have to. There's other forces at play. So I would say that is 100% true. And getting smart around that, I think, makes a ton of sense.
What I've learned from you on that, so to me, it definitely rings true to me. Planning for it, I think about how much you talk about the ground and pound game. Like you just got to be much better at the ground and pound game. You got to, like what we do ahead of shows where a week out, you have planned time for your salespeople to jump into the app,
Yes.
to be there, to like really be on the app the day of travel to the event and hitting that stuff up, planning your email sequences to get like really good in the last like week before the event. You know, like I think you have to reallocate resources to concentrate in a shorter time period and be really, really hard at it.
Yeah, you have to shift the way you do things.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, a runner that trains for marathons trains and does things differently than a runner that's training for sprinting. Like, it's just different. And those are the examples of like, you know, when you have an event where people have to register way in advance and and they're committed, and versus when it's happening in quick weeks, you have to condense your timelines. You have to do stuff that's smart based on, if you know the behavior of the audience, you change the way that you do stuff.
Yep. Rules to win in events today. Venue selection is the most consequential choice.
I don't agree with that at all. No, I don't agree with that. Why don't I agree with that? I don't agree with that because I think connection, engagement, content matter more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing things in cool places and fitting places I've been in. But, you know, to be honest with you, I've been in a lot of nice hotels and a lot of nice convention centers. And when you're inside them, they all feel the same.
Yeah.
Like I remember, 10 years, 6, 7 years ago, even 5 years ago, nobody would go to Louisville.
Yeah.
But now Louisville's picked up some steam.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Except it's called Louisville.
Louisville. Whatever. Who cares?
You know what I think of when
I think it's less consequential, maybe like if you're doing dumb things where like if your customer base is on the East Coast and you throw an event, you put it on the West Coast, like, yeah, sure. But that's just like common sense stuff. But I don't think there's a big delta there. If you run an event properly, I don't think it's the things that people are overly concerned with, honestly.
When I read that, I think of an episode that we did recently about like the cost of events and like how event services is like 18% and like the booth stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like what this is saying is that as an event organizer, if you can host events in a secondary, tertiary kind of like event venue as opposed to like a main event venue where everything drives the cost up, then it drives these different third and fourth layer of consequences of like what people have to spend to travel there, what people have to spend for like event services and stuff like that. So I could see it. I don't think it helps me much as an event marketer. All right. 20 rules to win in events today. Tier 2 destinations will help a lot under 5K attendees. You want to just skip this one?
Tier 2 destinations will help a lot under 5K. Yeah, I think it's an overemphasis on destination, honestly. I think there's a lot of cool places. There's a lot of things you can, how many times can you go to Texas and do a cowboy boot thing? Right? Like, true. So I think weather matters, right? Like there's things that are common sense. Yeah. There's common sense things. And I honestly think that a really well-run event does not like, okay, you're going to do an event at the JW Marriott in Marco Island, Florida, paradise. Sure. You can put lipstick on a pig. Sure, you can, because the event's beautiful. It doesn't mean the event's any fucking good.
Yeah. All right. I like this one, man.
Fire.
Rules to win events today. Clever event scale content with attendees, not speakers.
Ooh, yeah, so good. Yeah, that's just the shift from people being talked at to people talking with is the difference, right? It's collaboration. It's allowing people to communicate and talk to their peers. If you think about what's really popular right now, like community is a big thing. People want to hear from people doing what they do. Yep. CIO wants to talk to a CIO. Mm-hmm. A marketing manager wants to talk to a marketing manager. Well, whatever. I think that's a big piece. So how do you gear content so that those opportunities are there versus going there and just having a bunch of people speak at you? Nothing wrong with keynotes. I think you have to be careful on how you select keynotes. I think you have to be careful on the message that comes from keynotes, the length of keynotes. They definitely have a place in events. Yeah. But yes, for a while there, we got very keynote heavy. Yeah. You go to an event, there's 20 keynotes. I'm like, first of all, keynote doesn't make any sense when there's 20. You're not a keynote at 20. Yeah. You're like a part of the note at 20. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it just doesn't.
For sure.
Yeah.
When I read this, it just kind of brings me back to one of the best ideas I've ever had in my life that's really made a big difference in my career, which was when I talked to Emerge Americas and they were trying to like be more of like a TED conference. Yeah. And I was like, are you getting content from your people attending or just from stage, like only from stage? And that was the birth of the podcast as a trade show booth thing. And like as an exhibitor, I have found the podcast as a trade show booth thing to be extremely effective because of this idea that you're scaling the content through the attendees, not just the keynote speakers. But beyond that, the first principle thinking of clever events scaling content through attendees, not people, not keynotes, is the idea that if you have a stage and an audience and you show the audience a clear path to being featured on the stage, then people come, they have ownership in the event, they feel that they want to promote it. So the events that like get the common everyday person to come speak because there's somebody that's been undiscovered, that person's going to go promote the shit out of the event way more than the dude you're paying $20,000 to come speak on the stage for.
You know, what's the other thing that makes a ton of sense. You know, what's the other thing that hits me with that is like the authenticity of that peer conversation.
Yeah.
Not that keynotes are not authentic. They are premeditated, they're prepared, they're angled, they're all those things, which is fine. It has its place. But that interaction, man, when you start like, oh, wow, I was dealing with that, like, it's different. Yeah. There's a different vibe to it. There's a connection made from it. There's a community affirmation. There's, even if it's nothing's getting solved, just somebody feels like, oh, wow, like they see me, like they are dealing with the same thing I've dealt with, or I dealt with that. I would love to help you.
Yeah.
And it's not advice from someone that's like, do this and do that and you'll fix it. Someone said, hey, I dealt with this 6 months ago. This is exactly what happened to me. Here's what I did. It's different. Yeah.
When people see themselves in the content, they get more out of it.
Yeah.
And they don't have to see themselves in the content. They got to see somebody that's like them. And a keynote speaker is often not enough like them for them to be able to take it home.
I agree.
Yeah, cool. Rules to win at events today. I don't even know what this means, Matt. Hosted buyers are winning across the board. I don't even know what that means.
Hosted buyers. Yeah, let's scrap it.
All right, skip.
I understand. Yeah, I know.
Rules to win at events today. Organic meetups should be scheduled in the program.
Yeah. Yes, this goes back to this kind of collaborating, networking, getting people together more. There's a lot of interesting things you can do. I thought SEMA did a good job at this at the first timers event, right? When you got there, they had your name on a list. They had a certain red, white, blue, green, yellow band. That band put you into a group that you had to go find the group. There was a leader in the group. They asked you a question. They got you in. So it's just like a little more, you can't leave it openly organic, but you have to sort of like, you got to give it a nudge, right? It's like, you got to kind of hold the back of the bike like you're teaching a kid to ride a bike. It's the same thing. Just doing a cocktail hour and throwing 500 people in a room doesn't do shit, right? So yes, I love that. And I think, how can we get more creative around networking at events where it's slightly orchestrated so people can have organic conversation? And I think, for example, the way SEMA did it was really smart. You went there, I showed up, I was the first time, I'm like, oh, here's your band. I'm like, oh, I have a blue band, why? And they're like, oh, well, there's a blue group. You're going to go meet with that blue group. Nikki is the blue group leader. You're like, oh, okay. I'm like, hey, Nikki. She's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. You talk for a second, then she gets you in the group. And then it's like, you have something in common. We're all in this group. It's, so I think there's a lot of ways of getting creative around orchestrating that conversation.
Yeah, I read this and I think lubricating connections, organic connections with it as part of the event strategy is an absolute
It's
must.
also old playbook versus new playbook.
Yeah.
That's new playbook thinking.
Yeah, totally. Rules to win at events today. If you don't work the line, you are wasting money.
So I'm assuming, I don't really know what that means. If you don't work the line, like when people are waiting for coffee, line like when people are waiting to register, line like when people are waiting to get things.
That's where my head goes.
I mean, if I'm waiting in line and you're trying to sell me, you're just pissing me off, honestly.
Listen, man, as a networker, I hear...
Or no, networking. Okay, I'm thinking selling, trade show things. No, I mean, I think... No, okay. My brain went to negative, pessimistic town, but yes... Networking in lines, talking to people, waiting for lunch.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? I'm Matt. Hey, I see you're at this conference. 100%. I think those are organic moments. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, man. Listen, I honestly feel like it's some of the lowest hanging fruit of when it comes to networking. There's always lines at event. If you're feeling awkward and you're bored, go stand in line next to someone and be like, hey, so what brings you here? Right? Like, and furthermore, I do think that there is an opportunity. I don't think you go into like, go sell people, right? But like creating an experience during the lines, I think is a valuable thing. Like there could really be, if an event organizer thinks through it or an exhibitor thinks through it, they're like, hey, can I sponsor the line? Like, and then go create like a quiz experience during the line or whatever. Like, cool, lines are low hanging fruit for people, which I often give people advice.
A lot of time when you have the barista bars, there's 15 people deep waiting for a latte or something. So you can do something there. Maybe run a little raffle, a little game. Maybe do like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? And they can win a prize if they get through 5 levels. You win this. Anybody would do that. It's fun and it's engaging.
There's a latte you can do in those lines. Ayo! All right, here we go. Rules to win at events today.
Get me out of here.
Facial recognition line can't be more than 10 minutes. What is this, like clear?
I don't know.
What are we talking about? All right, skip. Rules to win at events today. Sustainability, taking care of today secures your tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think with the sustainability thing, I think there's some good companies doing some good stuff and trying to calculate this and trying to make conscious steps of the amount of waste and everything that goes into events. I think, unfortunately, the pressure to move on this and the pressure to make real change only comes from the big corporate companies that are paying and sponsoring to all be there. And that only comes from them when the economic outlook is really good. When the economic outlook is not good or things aren't great, unfortunately, they don't care. But when things are good and things are rolling, I've often seen their attention divert to it. Whereas like in 22, 23, we were getting asked a lot from our customers to give us a bit of a sustainability report on our trade show program. Where are we saving? Where are we doing well? Where are we contributing? Versus now, no one's asking.
Okay, rules to win in events today. Celebrities don't drive registrations, experts do.
I would agree with you on that, depending on the content and the context of the event, and it always depends on the audience.
Yep.
You have audiences that celebrities will drive it. You have audiences that experts will drive it. I think it depends on the audience, which then depends on what the audience wants to get out of it, which is then the shit I've been saying for absolutely ever, that you cannot just throw wet spaghetti against the wall. Like, you know, it's just,
I think going back to your idea of value prop of events of change, people seek peer-to-peer knowledge. I think the people you bring to an event drives registrations. Like it's like the attendees is what drives the most registrations. If you are a first-time event host,
you create real demand for an event. I mean,
can you create real demand? And I would just think it's more true that you can use the first 20 people that sign up to your event to drive. Like if you get 20 really attractive characters that people want to be like, that are just like other people, to show up to an event and get them to promote it, that drives more registrations than a celebrity or an expert or whatever, because they're just people want to meet other people like that. All right, cool. Rules to win in events today. Vertical event tech platforms are winning. You know anything about that? Rules to win in events today. Accurate matchmaking will define success. You were just kind of talking about this.
Yeah. I think saying it defines success is pretty strong statement, right? Yeah. But I do think the concept of matchmaking, the concept of getting the right people in the rooms, the right conversations orchestrated really do matter. Sometimes you have to understand the verticals, the sectors, the opposing forces at events, like who's all at these events, which conversations need to be had, what are the ones that people are wanting to have, and then finding creative ways to get people engaged, whether those are panels, table discussions, breakfasts, like have a breakfast for this and have another breakfast for that. Like there's different, yes, I do think that's important.
I think I don't,
doesn't define success.
I don't know if I'd say define success, but I can tell you that
that's what it said in the thing.
I think that you got to think this through beyond just the event organizer. I think as an exhibitor, I would be thinking about who I can matchmake with each other while I'm there. Like I think matchmaking drives value for people for sure. So as a tactician, I'm always thinking, how can I matchmake? If I'm an event organizer, I'm thinking, how can I matchmake between attendees, the right attendees who they want to meet, and I'm thinking for my sponsors, for my exhibitors, how can I create matchmaking opportunities with each other and with the attendees, right? So like really thinking through that will define the experience that people get. That being said, man, just because I met my best friend at the event last year doesn't mean I'm going to go to that same event next year. It also has to drive business revenue, right? Like it has to drive results for me as well. So
I do.
Rules to win in events today. If you don't negotiate hard, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think if I was sitting here with we had another, corporate event marketer that's booking hotels and spaces and, with all these partners and people, then I would agree. I think you have to be very savvy about negotiating. You have to understand what's in these contracts. You have to understand where you can lean and ask for, 100%. It is a very important thing. You can get locked into stuff you don't want to be locked into. You can lose flexibilities that you need. Yeah, vital. So if you're a new event marketer, you should probably be trying to find an event marketer that really knows how to negotiate and read contracts.
And what you can negotiate and what you can get out of there,
Big
right?
part of
Like,
their job.
like one of the biggest lessons I've taken from this podcast is the idea that sponsorships are suggestions.
Yep.
Right, like Andrew Smallwood taught us that. The idea that like, hey, you get a sponsorship, go ask what else you can get out of
How
it.
can I
Go
do
ask
this?
how to drive
Hey, if
more
I gave
value.
you, hey, you're asking for 20,000 to do this.
Yeah.
If I gave you 20,000, could I do that?
Yeah.
What's the worst you're gonna say? No.
Can I sponsor the line?
Yeah. Can I sponsor the line?
All right, rules to win events today. Only websites with urgency register people.
No.
You disagree with that?
I think that's such BS.
Okay.
I think that's BS. I think if you want people to register, drive an event that has demand.
Yeah.
Drive an event that people want to be at. Events that drive that don't have to worry about that stuff. They don't have to worry about it. I mean, yeah, do you need to cleverly design a website and make it look like an event that people want to go to? Do you need good messaging that resonates with the core audience that you want?
Yeah.
Yes, but urgency, like 3 seats left, grab yours. Kind of bullshit. That's like, hold on a second. That's like Expedia plays this game.
Yeah.
You go to book flights, so 4 seats left. Yeah. You go to like Delta or American Airlines and look at the flight and go to a seat check. There's like 20.
My issue with that statement is the only part of it, right? Like, but I do think as a marketer, I have learned that urgency really does drive results. You just can't fake it. You got to create genuine urgency, right? Like, I think of the idea of if you register now, you get all these extra things versus you don't get it later, right? Yeah. Like versus prices go up, like all that stuff really does drive urgency. If, like 5 people get to meet Gary Vee when you go to this thing.
Attendees get
get XYZ, right? That. So don't do douchebag urgency.
It's value.
But think through urgency wherever you can, for real. Yep. All right, rules to win in events. If you don't follow up with leads, change jobs.
Yeah, man, we've talked about this so much. Yeah, I agree. And one of my big things is I keep moving down the line, talking to salespeople, talking to event marketers, understanding different companies that we work with and talk to their process for post-event. One thing I keep coming back to is that the best event marketers that I know, they chase leads down the line. They follow up with sales. They follow up with, hey, what happened with this? Speed to lead, personalized follow-up, not letting conversation slip through the cracks. Yeah. So important. And I think event marketers have to understand that, like, you can't just run the event, drive the leads and dump them off. Although I know you have to at times, you got to have some form of follow-up or control yourself. As I think through the cost of events and ROI for things, the number one place that I have learned that you can really drive ROI is to enable follow-up. Like everything from thinking through how you get that insight on the conversation that happens on the show floor so that you can personalize the follow-up, to having pre-created templates and ChatGPT made email sequences that you can then add it ready to roll so that they can send it that night and then send it 2 days later and then send it a week later. To even like the podcast as a straight booth, is your follow-up a content gift or another opportunity that you can give them versus just a bullshit brochure? Follow-up wins. Last one. Give me the best one you got in that one. If you don't know your data, you're just a party planner. I don't think that, no, I don't agree with that. I think data is really important, but I don't think if you don't know it, because I think there's a lot of external factors for you not to know it. Lack of tools, lack of buy-in to be able to be required. A lot of event planners are typically like slammed with events and then no one's asking them for data, right? Yeah. Data is important. I have a lot of thoughts on data, what type of data, what you should be looking at. I also think it's personalized to what you're doing, your types of events and everything. Yeah. But I think really I would classify more so in line someone, a party planner, is more so somebody that's not understanding the output that the event creates and then planning to enhance that output, right? Yeah. So if you're a party planner, if you're just planning the party, but, for example, that's probably not a good example, but I think it's understanding the output, understanding the bigger picture, really important. I think that would make you a party planner, because when you understand it and you know what you're trying to accomplish and you know that, hey, we're going to touch 100 customers and X amount of prospects, and how are we trying to move them? These are the results we're trying to gain. We're planning for these things. I think that really steers you away from being a party planner. I would change the word data to strategy. Yeah, sure. Know your strategy or you're a party planner. Without a doubt. Yeah. Outcomes. Yep. All right. Those are rules on how to win in events today. Nice, the Matt Kleinrock Is It True or Not edition. I love that.